Hello. Okay. Can you guys hear me? Test, 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 test. It looks like it's working, but it looks like the audio's not playing. Oh boy. Let me know in the chat because that was really, really weird. Because I haven't changed anything. What's up, Josh? How are things? Wowie. Fletch is in. Alice. Alien Gathering. Anna Banana. Bald Squirrel. Commander Root. Doppel's on. Doppel, are you wanting to hop on as well? Ham Suplo, Low Tier, Radium, Sibo, Servum, Tom 422222227. I don't know how to say this one. Valentine, Wowie. Alright, let's see if we can get Doppel on. Guys, give me a second and we will try to bring him on. I'm going to mute stream. Hold on. Hey guys, can you let us know if you can hear Doppel? Doppel, introduce yourself if you'd like.
Hey chat, how's it going? Test 1 2.
Test, test, test. Cool, it looks like we're good. Alright. Trying to get the... Alright, cool. Got the music way down. Alright, man, it's been a minute. I don't know where you want to start.
What's on your mind?
I'm watching Ethereum bounce, man. It's tagging this pivot, and that's all I've been watching today. I've been out hanging out with the kids at the pool, but I thought it was going to blow through this, and it bounced. Now it's just kind of hanging out. I haven't seen what Bitcoin's kind of been hanging around. It overtook 20K again, and now it's just kind of dancing on it. So I don't know.
It seems like there's going to be continual defense of the 2017 top until there's not, right?
That's what scares me.
We just don't know how long we chop around here.
Yeah.
Ethereum, I haven't really looked. Merge, congratulations to everybody. But once the merge night happened, I was watching some streams, and I just said, like, I'm not going to make a trade. Like, I've exited all my Ethereum like the day before, and was just seems like it's sell the news, and it was hilarious to see everybody like at the moment get extremely bullish and be like, all the sell the newsers are going to be left behind, and now it's just really funny to be reading the stream, or sorry, be going on the timeline and reading all the tweets from the extreme, Ethereum maximalists, kind of cope a little bit or defend their argument about the burn rate, and the supply since merge change. And yeah, obviously they make a good point with what was issuance for miners and what is issuance now. Yeah. But the way that I just read all these tweets, it's hard not to laugh. Like it just comes off as cope.
I don't know. I've watched it both ways, and I knew it wasn't guaranteed to be deflationary when it came out because the network was going to have to take certain amounts of loads to burn enough, and right now it's not really under that load. But 1700 ETH versus 34,000 is a big difference.
Yeah, totally.
So
It's
yeah,
a big argument, and it's obvious that the day of the merge there was going to be an extreme amount of burn on top of the fact that miners no longer are getting a reward. So the fact that we went deflationary, that's not that uncommon. Like during a sell-off event, it gets deflationary pretty quick just from burning. Um,
Yeah, I remember when the EIP first hit, there was a bunch of deflationary blocks in the beginning, and then it eventually turned into nothing.
mhm.
So I don't know. I personally wasn't expecting it to go as smooth and just completely sideways through the event. Like price action was dead, and I was like, I didn't see that coming.
I think that it was, and I was looking. I probably should have been looking for this trade. It seems more obvious in hindsight, but the most bullish moves that happened that night were the tokens that were staking related. So the Lidos and Manifold, those ended up having like the biggest returns, and that totally makes sense because now staking has like it just staking makes sense now. There's a reason behind it. Um, and the fact that those made such a huge leap, and they retraced their entire move basically. But those are the tokens to look out for if there is a if we can make some bullish momentum in the future. I think that those staking related tokens are the ones that you want to put on a watch list.
Yeah, I agree. The moves were in different places. In hindsight, they would have made a lot more sense. And the one thing I've been waiting to see is like what the actual rewards are going to be. And right now, I'm only seeing like 4%, nothing like 8%. So I'm curious how this ends up playing out. And I don't know if these old calculations are based off of proof of work, but we'll see. I don't know if ultrasound money shows that, but you still can't withdraw. So I'm kind of not wanting to hop on at 4% if I can't withdraw yet, personally.
Oh, and I see chat asking about staking related tokens. What I meant is just Ethereum staking related tokens.
Yeah.
Um, just to clarify.
And the other one was Ethereum Classic had the run up to it, and then the hash rate went ungodly this week.
Has it
Um,
fallen off? I haven't looked.
no, I just pulled it up. It hasn't yet, but
The hash rate hasn't.
the hash rate, I haven't checked it, and I don't know what, I never keep up with it, but the website's, wow, it's up 150%. That is insane. I fear this is going to form a gigantic Bart Simpson, but I haven't checked the hash rates yet. I can Google it real quick. I don't even know who even tracks that. Two
I can't remember
miner.
off
There you
the top
go.
of my head.
So it's tailed off a little bit, which is kind of interesting because this implies a bunch of Ethereum miners went to Ethereum Classic and then they just said F it and they're going somewhere else.
Hey, Playmaker, it's Doppel.
But this was insane. Because they were running at like 60 terahashes and they're at like 200 now. But I went back and looked at like if I was to turn my Ethereum miners back on, what it would do on Ethereum Classic, and it's like I'm not interested at all at what the returns are right now.
Does this site tell you the best return?
There are some sites that do that. Like, let's check out what to mine. I've heard a lot of people are gonna switch over to uh oh, what's it called? Nanopool, I think is what it is, because they just make you mine whatever's the most profitable, and they just pay you back in
Oh,
Bitcoin.
nice.
I think it automatically picks the algorithm, but right now Grin is for a 3090, which is not cheap, just a single card. We're looking at 50 cents a day. I mean, on Ethereum it was as well. It was like probably over $3. So Raven coin is 41 cents. So yeah, I mean this is the good old days are gone. Nvidia is going to struggle. That's all I can say, but we knew that
Yeah.
was coming. I don't even see Ethereum Classic. There it is. Wait, is that negative revenue? Profit. Wait, these are negative on profits. That's the revenue, if I'm reading this right. I don't use this anymore unless that's. But anyway, yeah, the days of getting like $3 a card are gone, at least for now. And even like the Bitcoin miners, I don't know how they're making money either. Like an S19 Pro, J Pro profitability. Like these things aren't, well, they're kind of cheap, but um, yeah, right now you can't even run an S19 Pro profitably. You'll lose money. You'll lose $300 a year in electricity.
Hmm.
So it's like, why is it how they're making Bitcoin hash rates go to all time highs is beyond me. I really don't know.
What was it that you were saying on Kalio's spaces about hash rate?
Oh yeah, so this is kind of a this is something people mix up, and it doesn't. It's counterintuitive, frankly. So let me turn all this stuff down. So hash rate going down is always bearish. So let me grab hash ribbons from Capriel. So hash ribbons going down is 100% always bearish. And we saw that with the capitulation. So if you guys don't know, this is hash ribbons. This is a tool made by Capriel Investments. They're very, very good at what they do. Oh, also, the stream is intended for educational purposes. It's not intended to be used as financial advice. But anyway, um, this was the China ban, right? Right at the all-time high. They cut the cord and it went down. The point I made to Kaleo is 2018 we printed all-time highs over and over and over again on the hash rates, but it was a bear market. So this is the 2017 all-time high at 20K. In the entire time we were coming down to these 6,000 barriers, this just kept coming up. So like hash rates just kept increasing, increasing, increasing until finally the capitulation hit here at the bottom at like 3,500. So we did get that sell off, but this dump here to the 6,000 level was 67%, and it kept increasing. And this is going to go negative, isn't it? That's so stupid. It did only go net. The hash rates only pulled back when we actually had crazy capitulation, but that was only a 46% pullback. So he was right. I'd overlooked this, but my entire thing was this just kept trucking. Um, and it never slowed down. So the only time it really slowed down was here during the China ban, which it was literally a miner's exodus. But it's pulled back here as well. But as you can tell from the hash ribbons, they flipped again.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going sideways at like 19, 20K and hash rates increasing again. So, I mean, it's hard to say because this stuff is trading based off of miners is really weird. But if that's the bottom there and that was the bottom there, maybe this is implying the bottom was there. And that's kind of what he was saying in some of his stuff. But I make people warn people. It's like as much as people are talking about all time high hash rates, this doesn't necessarily mean we're bottomed. It's a good indicator, but you've got to be careful with it because people think as long as hash rates are increasing, it's bullish. And for here, I forgot how long. I mean, this was a year. This was 12 months of straight up increasing hash rates, and price action was just going down until it finally capitulated. So maybe that's how you're supposed to look at it: is how bad it needs to get until the miners finally break. And we broke the miners here, and we broke the miners here. It's just I think the world markets are gonna break soon, so I'm real skittish, right? So
This has me thinking now that we are post merge. Um, can you pull up do you have access to the hash rate going up? At what like I'm curious to see what was there a dip and if there was a dip recently, when did that reverse? Um, thinking that like miners, we know that the publicly traded miners, like the big mining groups, don't all just mine Bitcoin. So, is it possible that these bigger player miners were selling off all of their Ethereum miners, GPUs, and whatnot, and now taking that profit and rolling it into BTC miners, and that's why or bringing those online? Is that why we could possibly be seeing hash rate increasing in that time?
I can't see that. I thought you were able to pull up this ticker, but it's not pulling up on me right now. But the one thing I can say is the hardware for Ethereum doesn't work on Bitcoin.
Right. But
So
possibly selling off their hardware before the merge had come, selling the news type of deal, taking their profits, rolling it because they know that it's not going to exist anymore, rolling the profits over into BTC miners, onlining some more of those.
potentially, but it's hard too because they could have hit it. Like you can't really hide Bitcoin miners going on sale in droves. People know what those are, and they don't have a secondary purpose, short of like heating up a hot tub. Um, Video cards, like Nvidia video cards, can go straight into the market, and no one would really. I mean, you could dump all those on Facebook over time, right? So that's where I'm kind of like, I don't know. They might have, but I mean, like you saw, like I don't think any Ethereum miner guy would bite on this. Like I want an S19 bad, and like I'm looking at this and I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Even if you give this to me for free, I can't even nail the electricity rates that they're assuming here. So like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know how Bitcoin miners are doing it unless they're making bigger deals with the government for cheaper power. But I, I'm at a loss.
Do you know anything about like the tax write-offs that you can do?
I've dabbled in it a little bit because I did ask my tax guy if I could use my current LLC to offwrite some of the electricity, and it gets a little different because you can set up a if you're going to go straight into mining. What he was telling me was basically like you need an LLC specifically set up for that. You can't just have a business LLC with like $20,000, $30,000 of electricity a year and think they'll understand like that's legit. Um, it's basically what it's saying, man. I'm not set up like that, so I didn't want to touch it. But there's just frankly not. None of the Bitcoin ones are like this is the gnarliest one they have right now. That's not liquid cooled, and it makes $900 a year. And you're going to burn $3,000 of electricity to do that. I mean, it's pushing it. So I don't know. Now, with that being said, like a lot of the big electricity or a lot of the big mining companies, a lot of them are still in the red. Especially like the big ones that always have the flashy Twitter posts and stuff like that. They're not profitable yet. So I maybe we'll
Have you
eventually
looked
get
at
that
any of
capitulation. Hmm?
Have you looked at any of their stock charts? I haven't pulled any up lately.
I haven't looked at their
Uh,
stocks because I every time someone asks me about mining stocks, I said you're better off just buying the hardware yourself and running it. It just or I think it's better just to buy Bitcoin, frankly. But um, I have looked into the earnings reports of a few of them, and most of them are 2 or 3 years in, and they're not posting profits. They're still in the red, and they're taking on debt. Because when it was down here, there was actually some miners that turned them off, and it was like they had to like were dealing with loan issues and everything else. It was really wonky. So it's unfortunate. I mean, I love mining, but I just think it's kind of weird how this stuff is playing out. You'd think they'd be able to be just killing it, but they're not. But also, I think they run into issues with like sizing up. Um, Costs go up exponentially when you start having to buy like 20 acres and building these huge facilities, and then you see them doing all the liquid cooling and everything else, right? None of that's cheap. So they're making
right.
these like really flashy ones. So I don't know. I think the real miners are real scrap. Like the ones that are actually pushing out the hash rate, I think they're scrappy dudes that are pulling off some cool stuff. How they're doing it, I don't know. I am starting to see more of the methanol stuff post on Facebook where they're turning methanol into or the methane flare offs from oil rigs
Mhm.
into mining, but like that's not.
Man, look at that bounce from ribbon to ribbon.
Yeah. Someone was mentioning ape in the chat, so I had to check.
Yeah, there was. I saw. I saw some of this too. So, who was it? Stacks that brought it up. Yeah, staking. So staking. I guess I've been out of the loop this weekend a little bit, but
Yeah,
there
I
were
didn't
some
know.
rumors, and I don't know if this is true yet. Catch me in the chat if it's not. But staking is coming to Ape. Um, and there was some good on-chain movement that was happening. Like several of the big known Bored Ape PFP trader type of guys, their known wallets had been moving and buying a lot of Ape lately in this sell-off.
I, I it's just odd to me, but I've heard as well that staking and stuff is going to be coming to this, and maybe that's how you sell the news on an NFT coin. I don't know, but these are very very weird patterns. That's all I can
Yeah,
say. You don't normally see curves like this.
I don't
Not that
know.
clean.
I don't know. I would want to have an ape. Like,
I want one,
um,
but I'm not. I'd rather have a house.
I don't know. Okay, I guess what I'm saying is I don't know if I would want to have an ape over another NFT when they're taking a lot of the value out of it by building a coin, having other that Yuga Labs is doing themselves, several other derivative product, ape related products, because they're going to be having another one I read, like Mecha Ape or something. And I don't know why I would want, yeah, Punk or Ape. Yeah, I I don't know if I would really want to have an ape over some other NFT options right now. I think that the value's been too extracted out of it.
I that's the thing. Does that the argument is does that make the the NFTs more valuable because they have more function? Like an ape has a coin attached to it with DeFi or with
But
staking when punks don't. I don't know.
then do you want the NFT and not just have the coin?
I don't know. It's so foreign to me. I don't like. I used to think punks were really cool back in the day, and I remember looking at them. I was like, man, $6,000 is kind of a lot for some pixels. And then they 10x'd in price, and I was like, well, here here we go.
Like I was listening to Donald talk on his Friday streams, and he was saying like how he's positioned lately, and he's taken a lot of profit. Um, and he was talking about the apes that he bought on our huge capitulation dip, like a couple months back. And he had been trying to flip his apes lately, and it's just so illiquid he can't get rid of them. He was the floor for a couple of days, and that made me think the same thing. It just reinforced the idea that I have. Like, I don't know if I really want an ape. I could be totally wrong, maybe just overthinking it, but I think that there's other NFTs that have better upside at this point.
There was Kuji was talking about that as well. He was watching the price capitulate on the punks, and his I don't know if he was watching on the apes, but it was mainly the punks. He was trying to get him in. I think the 20s. Um, they may have gotten down to it, but that was the previous free fall. There's
And maybe
stacks.
us just talking about how hard it is to move an ape is the sign that it is the bottom, and they're just about to pop off like any minute now.
Yeah, stacks just leaked this. Recall on April 8th sent 3x from 9, 6x. I mean, maybe.
I totally would want to have the token over having the NFT. It's easier to get. More people are going to be able to get it. People are going to FOMO over this. Like the people that can't ever, that have always wanted an ape, couldn't afford it. At some point, when we become risk on, just get the token. Like don't even try to save up now to get the NFT.
Yeah, but you can't
Get it all
roll
token
hard
based.
without the wallet showing an actual NFT. You're not in the club at that point. I don't
Yeah,
know.
way more than
I'm actually kind of surprised there hasn't been anything um, nuke us on the ape side of the actual coins, because there were so many issues with people getting the actual NFTs getting stolen. I was impressed. I didn't hear any drama from the ape side. So basically, he's saying this means 60% API year on average if we unrealistically assume all of it's staked. So yeah. And that's the other problem, like a lot of people don't realize, when you have really, really high APY, it kills the value of the token. We saw that with Cake. Like Cake always had a crazy awesome APR, but it constantly increased supply. So
Yeah, and the Ohm forks were the extreme example of that.
no, it dilutes itself. So it'd be cool though. I mean, wow. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, that's one of the things too, though. If you can just get tokens and get into this, that would be nice. I think it'd be cool. I don't know. I think there may be a way. Like I always thought, if like how they started coming up with like gaming coins, I thought it'd be really cool if they eventually got to the point where certain NFTs had certain abilities, and that you could build a staking pool per se with certain NFTs, and you could maximize certain gains. I always thought that'd be something maybe to look into. It'd be fun, but this is so much money.
Wait, walk me through that again.
I don't understand these charts.
Walk
No.
me through your game idea.
So think of like NFTs, like Magic the Gathering cards with different stats, or like Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
So like if you had a thing like that where you could stake DeFi or stake those NFTs, but certain NFTs paired together did certain things.
Okay.
Maybe like hey, this one produces so much gas but has this vulnerability. Well, if you pair it with this and da 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 da, you could eventually have a gaming mechanism where people are trying to put like 5 NFTs together to build the best mining thing per se. I don't know.
Hmm.
I just thought it'd be something interesting, because at that point people would actually be FOMOing certain specific NFTs.
Yeah, you could probably gamify that a bit more. Like if so many of one um, valued version of the NFT that gave you some unique ability, like once so many become staked,
Yeah.
then you shift the value of another into another NFT like algorithmically. That'd be kind of cool. It's a smart idea.
Yeah, so airdrop me if anybody ever pulls that off, because that's way beyond me. But I thought it'd be, because it's I think I saw some of that with Jewel. There were certain things in Jewel in like the
Oh right,
characters.
I never ended up playing the game.
I didn't either, but it was
That's
something
probably
like they were.
exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know, man. Bitcoin. So going off of that, all the news, Bitcoin's bounced off of the pivots as well, and it's kind of hitting that bell curve sweet spot where it barely got into the liquidity side that I like, the bottom third, but it's not really third, but you know what I mean. But and we printed an entry signal, but it is the weekend, and Gensler's getting pretty mouthy right now. So I'm interested to see what Powell and them do next week with the CPI print. You think they're going over 100?
No, I don't. I think that look, I think there's a possibility. I'm not going to rule it out. Um, what my plan was going into this is changed. Like I didn't get the triggers that I wanted. I thought that CPI would come in. I think the estimation was terrible. So we shouldn't have dumped as hard as we actually did. Um, but I thought it would come in neutral again at the least, at the best, right? Um, and my plan was there would be some FOMO post those results, and then there would be de-risking coming into the FOMC, and that just didn't play out that way. So I've just been sitting on the side and waiting. I'd love to I'm waiting to kind of reevaluate how futures open tomorrow. I think that SPY looks kind of dangerous right here. This could end up becoming resistance. I don't like it. Like draw a trend line from the low right there in June, late June, and drag it out to like the first touch, and you'll see
Yeah, we're
that
below it.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, let me go over to my actual. I've got my SPX chart marked up with. Yeah, the pivots are still there. So this is how I've been watching it. Um, I've been kind of looking at it like channel walks, and it's been like going down, shifting, going down, shifting, going down, and it's been pretty consistent. But we got this bounce. We almost got to this pivot at 36, 30, 50, 35.88. Came up. We rejected this pivot right at like 39.50. We tried to hit it 3 times, got through, confirmed it, and we came back up here and hit these critical pivot blocks. They show up on the 2 hour, I think, or maybe the 1 hour. So I just manually drew them in. But regardless, we came up, we blipped through it, actually poked our head above it, but we were printing heavy on RSI, printed a sell signal, and then we free fell. So I'm getting a bit concerned here as well, because this is what scares me bad, was this rejection. Because we got all the way through this block here, got through the second blocks, went above it, failed, came back up to try to take another swing at it, and we just nuked. We pulled right off of it. So I I mean, short of CPI coming in at like 50, I don't see this turning around. Personally, I don't know. And the other part that scares me is you were talking about like the estimates were wrong. They are completely draining out the oil reserves right now to get the oil prices down to help with these inflation numbers. But the food and housing soared last month, and it basically filled that gap. But the administration's kind of in a bind right now because they can't keep dumping at these rates. They're going to literally run out in a few months if they keep increasing like they're doing. So eventually, that like oil prices are going to go back up potentially, and then God knows what the CPI print's going to do.
Yeah, I had a short going in oil too, I think it was like a week or two ago, and then there was news that Saudi Arabia would wants a base at 90, right? They said that they'll stop
Correct.
producing any further oil exports until it's back above 90. And then the White House came out like 5 days later and said, well, we're not going to fill the SPR until it's 80. And that both of those two things, like building a floor, and you talked about this on your recent stream, I think. Um, I don't like all this manipulation that's happening. On top of that, you have all the European, EU um, changes and trading energy futures and such. And there's too much. I hate that there's too much involvement by all these different government entities and such. So I'm just happy sitting on my hands, and I hate saying that so many times every time I'm on your stream.
No, but it's right. It's you make a good point too, and I think I did cover the last stream, and that's what this block is. This is Saudi at the top, U.S. White House at the bottom, and the price is in the dead center right now. And basically, they're going to fill the reserves at 80, and the Saudis will kill supply if it's below 90. So this thing is set up to just zigzag if they
Well, and
actually can hold it.
it's totally meant to zigzag. Like that's the purpose of it, right? Because if oil capitulates to lows, then the economy completely spirals. Indexes go haywire. We got to turn on the circuit breakers. So it is they are both sides are strategically building this range so that it doesn't do something like in 2008, right?
I think it needs to though,
Yeah, totally does.
because I was posting this on Twitter last night. I don't know why this isn't showing up now. There you go. There's your COVID crash, right? COVID crash, nuked into these parabol or into the reversion bands, bounced out. 2009. Thank you for the follow, sir. If you have any requests, particularly SHIB pairs, let us know. We'll look at it. 2008 was a really pretty one, and this one was marked with oil fall off. Right around here, oil went fully parabolic. We had over $100 a barrel, and then the S&P nuked. But the one thing that was interesting is the oil bottomed out here. So the oil bottomed out right around here in March of 2009. Um, and we did 3 drives down, which you've seen me count rainbow reversals. When I see 3 drives into resistance, I get really, really like baited into wanting to long. And this one pulled out. And I think honestly, I'm really thank you for another follow. I'm really going to be paying attention to the new channel walker tool. In all honesty, because I'm looking at this stuff and it's just like this. You guys are killing me. Thank you for all the follows. I'm watching this and I'm trying to make it simple. Like, how do I keep it simple, stupid? And then I was like, well, that's what I built this damn tool for, and it stays red until 780, and then we went on the run, right? It doesn't do so well with the COVID crash because it flash crashed, but I also went back and looked at it on the 2000, and this is the 2001 dip. Now, it bounced a few times, and then finally we got our triple bottom. But if you pull it onto the higher time frames, you can actually see it a little better. Because the higher the time frame you go, the more easy this tool is to work with. But this one was harder to read because it bounced so many times. I wish I had it. I just don't remember this era that well. You guys, it's crazy. You guys are ringing my ears with those follow buttons. Keep it up. So I don't know. Like, this one had multiple bounces, and maybe the play is just scalp these bounces on the reversion rainbow until it finally flips and holds. I don't really know. Because this is a lot easier to read. It's like, it's dying and you just wait till it turns green. And that's how this tool works on Bitcoin really, really well too. So I don't know. Because right now, like, you can see if we go to the dailies on it, it started risking off and then it blipped up, got this sell signal, and now it's coming back down and it's kind of rejecting. And now it's fighting all those pivots. Your trend line as well, it's rejected. Like, I don't think next week's going to be a good week, personally. And I don't know how. Like, how do you convince what's the devil's advocate here, right?
I don't have a counter. Like, the only thing is how excited people got about this weekend, and the way that ES closed. I don't have. I'm having a hard time coming up with a counter for my bias. And right now that's down. With that, we open up that trend line that we pointed out becomes resistance, and we revisit 3600, wherever that weekly support was. If we pull that up.
Well, I'm sorry, I was drawing the trend line back. Which 3600?
Like 36.7. We had bounced off before, back in mid-June.
Yeah. We actually got a yellow candle on that on the daily. So yeah, the only thing I think is eventually the Russia stuff's going to come to an end. Whether that is a good end or a bad end, I don't know. Hey, can you guys hear us in the chat? Tune Ahead just says he can't hear us. It looks like it's working on my end, though. I can turn the audio on, but it's going to do double. I can turn the audio on. Yep, there it goes. Tune it. Oh, you can hear. Play on players. Okay, cool. Tune it. Check your mic. Well, he can't. Let me type that because he can't hear me. Anywho, I think the Russia conflict's going to come to it will come to an end eventually. Whether it'll come out to the outcome we want, I don't know. Right now, I have such a hard time. It's like anytime anything happens slightly in Ukraine's favor, the media blows it out of proportion. So like really right now, I got no idea who's winning. Um, Frankly, I thought it was going into a stalemate for a while, and I was getting pretty bummed because it looked like they were going to sustain the stalemate for a while. But maybe this drive they had was actually pretty legit and is going to do some damage. And I've heard rumors the recent meeting Putin had with Z and
Yeah.
India. What was the summit? They were saying like Z was kind of ignoring them. But again, I don't know if that's
I think
true.
there was remarks from Modi, so the president of India, and Xi, who both in their press conference expressed that like they would love to see or alluded to the fact that they don't really support an extended conflict. Um, so I think that the momentum, like if we're talking about the war and the politics of it, like I think that it's possible that momentum could be shifting in Ukraine's favor just by thinking of it like this, right? If if the Ukrainians, if Russia as just when you are a foreign invader, you have to outnumber you have to bring as much force as you can into the invasion, right? Because you're just by the fact of like playing defense and offense. Um, the fact that it like drew out into like a stalemate for a while for a couple months and we weren't sure where the momentum was and it was kind of like you said, maybe it was a bit depressing, maybe it wasn't going to go Ukrainians way or not in this recent offensive, whether it be psyops or not. The fact that like there was a few months in there where the Ukrainians could got all their support from NATO and the Western nations to continue training and bring on board like all of the new latest recruits that just conscripted and whatnot through those initial first couple months. All of those soldiers should now be fully mobilized and ready to hit the front lines. So just thinking about it from that perspective, like all the new Ukrainian army recruitees should now be at maximum ability to be able to take on an offensive like they did.
That's a good point. Um, I'm trying to find a live map of it because I saw it on Twitter, but I don't know. I never checked the maps on it. Um, I think that's a good point, and it's good that that's the kind of the summary of um, the that meeting as well, is because eventually China is going to be like, bro, you got to end this, cut a deal or something. But right now, Ukraine at the same time is signaling like, "F you guys, we're not cutting a deal. We want it all back." Um, so you're going to have basically my thing is China's going to lean on Russia to cut a deal. I think all of Europe going into winter over this natural gas crisis is going to push Ukraine to cut a deal. Um, I think that's where this goes personally, but we'll see. Like I said, I don't know because Ukraine right now has been pretty damn adamant. Like we're not giving up shit. Um, so
Yeah, yeah. At the word the that you get now, like the perspective that seems to be getting through to the timeline and the media, seems to be like, no, we're not willing to give up anything anymore. Like, and on top of it, we want Crimea back, and
yeah,
like that's a lot to ask for.
it
You got to be.
it is, but because that's maybe this is going to be the fall of Putin. I mean, this was originally supposed to take a weekend, right? Um, if Putin actually loses this and he doesn't get anything, he he's really screwed. He has to get something to go back home with and say this is what we did this for. If Ukraine gives him nothing, you might see him potentially in a position where he's actually weakened and threatened by a potential successor, which we haven't seen like ever, right? And that's going to be what I think is really interesting because like he's really scared of not having port access to the Mediterranean because they
Mhm.
don't have anything on the East Coast really. And they've got the Arctic, and they can't really move a lot of stuff in and out of the Arctic
Well,
even when it's
yep,
warm.
all
So
those ports freeze, right?
yeah. So that's where I think it's going to go, and I hope to God it doesn't go through the winter. I hope we're almost into October now. Hopefully we're done by the end of the year, and if we can get that, plus the midterms going smoothly, plus some CPI cooling off, that's kind of where I'm at of like where I think a bullish scenario for the S&P comes in and takes everything else out with it. But if we don't get that and like Europe goes into struggling into the winter and Russia and all this stuff keeps going, like I'm not so bullish on it, right? I'm looking at the DGI now. It this doesn't look good. Could maybe argue this is some type of a broadening wedge, but I think that's fool's errand. Um, I'd like to have this wrapped up by the end of the year, though. Maybe we can, maybe we not. Because my biggest thing is to me is my bearish side comes out and says if we don't wrap it up by the end of the year, I think all of 2023 is on the table. Like for bearish hard times, right? Like depression, recession, whatever you want to call it. I don't see. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we haven't seen, monkeypox and COVID coming and all that. But like, if Russia is still going through energy issues with the rest of Europe, plus the war into 2023, like, and maybe Taiwan kicks off with China, like 2023 could be pretty rough. And if it is, that's crypto's going to struggle through to it as well. I forgot how far away we are from the halvening.
I think we're like just under 500 days now.
I'm pulling up the halvening calendar. Nope, this is the definition for halvening. That's a dumb website. Here we are. Yeah, 550, but who knows on the actual estimate. So maybe 2024. So that's what really sucks is I don't want to entertain the next 14, 15, 18 months being really god awful because this would be a really weird chart to trend if the bottom is not close, in my opinion. Because I don't know where this goes if we have another 18 months of this. I'm having a hard. I mean, maybe 18 months of grinding levels potentially. I don't know. Let me pull up the. Actually, I want to pull up. Hold on, BLX. Let me pull up the. I don't really like the reversion bands on the high time frames, but there you go. And you can see the channel walker tool was green all the way up till 56, and then it finally broke. Because right now it's just bleeding. And this was the capitulation of the channel walker we saw as well. And it finally flipped green at 3,800. So maybe, the question is, are we here or are we here? It's hard to say. Because this one cut clean. This was really clean cut. Well print on it as well. But this one's been raggedy down. This really sucked. But now we're coming back and we're still in this range. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to say it. But maybe this is the bottom. I really don't want to call it until I really don't feel comfortable calling a Bitcoin bottom until Powell's done. And I don't think Powell's done until the rest of the world's got its act together. And I think it's crazy the 1618 is right there, by the way.
Yeah.
So anyway, let me catch up on chat. Put a fresh shot, Fitbill, channel chart. What's up, Jared? Seems like the only bullish catalyst is if shorts get too short. Maybe.
I think that can end up being a bearish catalyst too, because I was listening to Kem Kersant talk about how there's all this short hedging that could end up just as we were going to the upside during our bullishness, and it caused a lot of gamma squeezes to the upside. The reverse could happen on the downside, that we could end up squeezing those positions out to the downside. So I think that was a very unique perspective, and I don't think you can rule that out. That you just may want to grab all that liquidity, and that could cause a cascade further than we expect.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, that was one of the catalysts of this print here. Let me adjust the sensitivity on this because I don't like seeing this much pink. Yeah, that's good. I remember this day very specifically. This took down Binance. This took down Coinbase. This took down FTX. It was a cascading liquidation. We haven't seen that here.
I'm not going to say it's different this time, but I think that our wishes that we could end up seeing exchanges going down is going to get less and less frequent.
Yes and no, but FTX went down here. I agree with you. I 100% agree with you on that one. I think it will become more rare, but I remember thinking that when we were in the 60s, it was going to be a thing of the past, and we shut the lights out here. This was a liquidation, and I'm kind of coming back to like a death wick. This wasn't a death wick, so in this wasn't really a death wick either. These both were close to death wicks, but they didn't print. That full-blown death wick, no questions asked. These were close, but not really. So what I'm getting at is I'm worried is if we do what you're saying and death wick here, what we're talking about is like a low teens print. That's what scares me. But I don't know.
I'm not gonna get that bearish until we have to. Just continue to treat it as a range, and I would just love to see a test of the lows again before we go up.
That's what I've been doing too. As far as short time train is just like, hey, this is a range. Roll with it and let the colors print to you. Let me switch over to 4 hour. Because this is definitely hard mode. I'm not saying this is an easy trade range, but there are plays to be made, and if you're calm and not emotional, you can get them. But you have to be aware of the macro environment, guys, because this was Jerome Powell coming in with CPI, or not CPI. This wasn't the CPI print, not the not the basis point increase. Not CPI. Is it CPI? Yeah, consumer price index.
CPI.
Yeah. CPI came in bad. Boom. Market nuked. We also nuked before the F2.0 merge. So maybe this was going to dump at the F2.0 merge and then CPI wiped it out before it happened. I don't really know. But we're bouncing now. So maybe we can get a trade range off into the 22s and risk off these longs. Or what you're talking about is you want another range sweep. I want something here too as well that holds. If we can get a range down into here that actually sweeps and doesn't nuke, I'm going to get really, really bullish. And if you wick it just a little below this, all the Wyckoff guys are going to FOMO up and say it's a spring. So we shall see. I don't know. And no one knows. So you got to let this stuff print for what it's worth. Because right now it's barely inside of where I feel comfortable longing. Bell curve it all up, but like this was the wick that we called before the creek jump, and that was the full creek jump. And we didn't get our full range high to the second target, but we did get our range high to the first target, and then it nuked back. But it's not back down into this area of liquidity that I would like to be in. So we'll see. You can actually see the visible range piling up here. But anyway.
So we're post merge. What's our next catalyst? What's the next narrative?
Doge is allegedly going proof of, or no?
You've been reading the GCR tweets?
I saw some stuff from him that was sent to me, but I think isn't Doge going proof of stake?
Yeah, I don't think they have any deadline or anything yet, from
So
what I
that being
understand.
said, that's going to kill Litecoin mining. If
Yes, totally. Yeah.
like Litecoin could get nuked if that's the case, because like if no one knows in the chat, uh, Litecoin network is what sustains the Doge chain.
It was pretty much the only thing that kept Litecoin alive in the past 4 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of funny is like Charlie Lee like did it to step in because he kind of liked those dudes behind it, and he did all that before it like went really viral with Elon and all that. So it's kind of funny he fell ass backwards into that, but did save it. But like the only mining right now are like Litecoin miners. The L7s and stuff are just printing money. Um,
I think
because
I
of
think would be
Doge.
really funny if we saw this in the future is just hypothetical, and I'd have to like actually put some work behind it to try to put some backing behind this thought. But what if during our bull market and the reason why Doge became so popular, and those all those miners that were dual mining Doge and Litecoin, it was easy for them to dump off all their Doge, like as Doge got popular and all the hype behind it. But they kept on to all their Litecoin, and they're building a huge position behind it, and they're ready to dump it, or they're ready to push it to in the next bull run. It won't be Doge, it will be Litecoin, and that becomes like a Doge type of run in a future bull market.
Maybe. I don't Litecoin like I don't think it has much going for it.
Now, the only yeah, I don't think so either. This is totally just a dumb thought,
That would be
but
fun though. It would be
now
really fun.
the only other like hypothetical I put behind that is, all right, so you dump Doge and in this past bull run, and a lot of people just saw it as dumb nonsense, right? In our next bull run, crypto becomes more legitimized. So there's no way that you would have been able to push Doge in the same way. What do? You push Litecoin. You actually push the narrative that Litecoin is silver to Bitcoin's gold.
That'd be hilarious. If that's really what happens, that'd be insane. What is SHIB mined on? Is it or is it even a mining?
I think I think it's proof of stake, isn't it?
I don't
Or it
know.
used to be just an ERC20 token, but I think I don't know. There was some changes that happened, became, I don't really have no idea. There's some DeFi that's involved with Bone and Leash. People were saying that those two things were going to pop off, but I never looked into it. I have no idea.
I don't either. I saw Fletch asking. I think it's trying to pick up a reversal. Honestly, Fletch on the H2s because these hit so hard. But you can see that this one hit early on the entry bot, but then the rest four were dead nuts. This is trying to bite it coming in, and it's starting to reverse. And these two hit, then it went way high. So I'm watching this one really, really, really closely because I'm like, man, because we got the pivot support, and then the entry bot fired off. I'm like, oh, I don't want to long here, but it's calling my name. Ethereum hasn't printed it on the 2 hour yet. I don't think. Let me check Coinbase or Binance. Yeah, I'm waiting for the Ethereum one to actually fire off. I haven't seen it yet. This one was great. That one's not so much yet. These fired off as well. Then we went pretty damn high. So we'll see. Gosh, that would be the ultimate move if Litecoin gets back into the top 10. I don't even know where it's at right now. I think I did see some crazy post where they were saying that Doge is now the highest proof of stake or the highest proof of work besides Bitcoin in the top 10. I was like, that's funny. But Solana has no. They stake the nodes. Cardano. I mean, let's see where Litecoin is at. 22. Maybe that would be an
I think it'd
impressive
just be
call.
funny. It'd be poetic,
Oh
right?
yeah, to get it back into the top 5 would be just nuts.
Yeah.
And that's what sucked is like right before the right before China did their ban, Litecoin was was getting ready to go on its run, like its all-time high run for the cycle, and then it nuked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got just to $400, and then China
Well,
news
didn't it hit
dropped.
420 somewhere? Oh yeah, 4
Probably.
420 for the memes.
Yeah,
Some exchange. I think it might have been Coinbase had it at 420.
I wouldn't be surprised. But it was going, man. I was so ready for it to go really, really, really high because I think this is like, I think the previous all-time high was like 380 or something, like 350. It barely broke it, and then and then China hit. I was like, yeah, damn. Because I thought it was maybe gonna get stupid and get into the sevens or maybe 1,000. It'd be just insane. But no. And then there's another triple bottom for rainbow reversals. Um, but no, it ended up not doing that. It's since we're talking about proof of stake and funny stuff. Do you know Zcash's
Yeah.
timeline is going to proof of stake? It's gonna
Oh
be
yeah,
awesome.
there's still proof of work. Huh?
They are proof of work,
Um.
and those miners are rare as hell, but print. Oh yeah, if I could. Oh dude, a few months ago it was like the Z15s or whatever are. Some of the Zcash stuff was printing like $30 a day per miner. I was like, oh, I mean it was unbelievable, and it was old hardware too. But Bitmain doesn't make a lot of them. Some real small runs. But it's one of those things that's like, man, do I want to buy something that can only mine like Zcash? And I think, what's that other coin that
It
Silver
was
likes?
it was like Horizon or something. I can't remember,
Zen.
but
Zen.
Zen. Yeah, yeah. It was definitely a berry coin.
Yeah, it'll mine Zen if I did get trapped. And because that's the other thing, like Zcash development is so wild. Like they could go proof of stake next week, and I'd be like, that makes sense. But I don't know how hard it is. But that'll be it'll be interesting because if they actually do get proof of stake to work on Zcash, that's basically um, simulating what Bitcoin would do in that environment if they switched it to proof of stake. Because this is just Zcash is just straight up Bitcoin set up for privacy.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be kind of a cool thing to observe. For I know Bitcoin will never go proof of stake, but like you saw the White House overreacting this week about the environmental effects of Bitcoin. So, um,
Yeah. Um.
and they want equality and equity in crypto now. I think it was one of the charters they spent a ton of money on. So I don't know where that goes, but if they start talking securities again, because they're all talking about the Ethereum being a security now that it's proof of stake, and I'm like, I don't know how you make that argument, but have fun, Gensler.
Saw you pull up KNC.
Hmm.
I saw you pull up KNC.
It just keeps running, and I don't know why. And it's
I
not.
still haven't seen anything from that wallet. I let go of it at $2.
I can't. It's not clean enough for me to call it a channel walk, so I'm scared to touch it because I know as soon as I do, it's gonna do this. But I mean, like, speaking frankly, this is such a wild round trip. 155% up, all the way back down, and ding, 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 ding. Bunch of clusters of whale prints here, but I don't know. I don't have a good read on it. It's really erratic. But
I think it's ready to just reset.
maybe, yeah. I'm not really interested in much right now. Wi-Fi broke above 10K and it got kind of interesting. Um, and it definitely looks like, man, I didn't catch that one. We drew this on a previous stream, I guess. I don't remember it, but it tagged that liquidity block or that pivot block. Yep, double pivots on the 2 hour. It tagged it. Damn it. Should have set my alerts. Lesson learned, because that is a 11% move on spot. And a lot of guys have been talking about these in Discord. There's no rocket science to it. I literally draw rectangles when I see double pivots, and I just draw them, and that's my trader main style pivot block, or what is it called, order block. Same up here, double pivots, or if you see triples, or if you happen to see two pivots on the exact same price, that's really a solid wall. But like right up here, this would be a resistance pivot as well. It's basically cheating. You can see stuff that typically only the advanced traders can really spot, and it plots it on just about everything. So let me see. Bitcoin had some really good ones on 2 hour. Yeah. So yeah, the pivot block here, and if you know there's like this is likely a pivot block, but you don't have a second one, run it up to the wicks where the wicks meet the bodies. That'll give you a little idea of where it should be. And then we had our double pivot here, and that's exactly the price level we kissed here, which is awesome because it allows you to like plan ahead. Like, hey, I see stuff bleeding off. I know there's going to be a bid here, and there's a serious bid here. If I can catch it here, let's party. And then it ended up running 23% on Bitcoin. And now we didn't get back down to it, but we bounced off this pivot. So we'll see. I don't think we have a second pivot line here. We don't. What are your thoughts on gold and silver? Anything about those lately?
I haven't looked at the charts.
Either.
Let's pull them up real quick and see.
I saw what's his name, the gold bug dude, posting some serious alpha, like not just normal crap talk, but he was talking about like what the Fed needs to do, and he was dead on. And he's talking about like what they would need to do, and it's like full on recession, full on rate hikes to get all this stuff reset.
You're talking Peter Schiff?
Yeah,
Or somebody else?
unemployment,
Okay.
all this stuff, and I was like, he is speaking
He's
truth right now, but
yeah.
I don't think Powell's going to go through with it.
Yeah, he's a pretty smart guy. If you just listening to, if you can get past the whole gold shilling,
Yeah,
what he talks about does make a ton of sense, especially when he starts talking about how it's the middle class that are going to be wrecked the most during this whatever future recession that happens. The money that's taken out of the system is going to come out of the middle class's pockets, not out of the rich, not out of the government employees, not out of the lower class, the extreme poor and such. The middle class are the ones that are going to take the blunt of the worst of it, and there's no other way around it, really.
and that's the thing, and I think one of the only reasons Jerome is going so hard is they're risking losing the dollar right now, and if they completely lose the dollar, like the
What do you mean?
like the hyperinflation. Like when we were printing like 12%, I mean, like the real inflation numbers are probably high teens, probably well over 15%.
Have you ever been to Truflation?
No.
Let me pull it up. I'll send the link. I'll put it in the chat. I put it in Discord too. There's a dashboard link on that site, and you'll see the top right corner. This is a third party entity, non-government related. They do an inflation calculation that is similar but is different than the labor statistics folks do. I do think that, like we talked about the last time I was on the stream, that dollar strength allows us to export our inflation. So I think that what the CPI number is and what we see on this dashboard it is different, but it's certainly not extremely different.
Yeah.
Now,
This is an
see
awesome
that drop down?
website.
Yeah, put it on UK. That's
Yeah,
outrageous.
UK is seeing 16%. I mean, and this goes down to also like Arthur Hayes' theories, where he's talking about like the euro imploding and basically the Europeans just fighting each other um, in multiple ways. This is an awesome group. Can you get like more data if you subscribe?
I'm not sure, but they actually, what's cool about them is I think they started as a crypto project and they have Chainlink oracles.
Really? Chainlink Oracle. This is really cool. I've never seen this. Thank you. Embed code. They even have a widget. This is so cool. I'm gonna hop on their Discord and see what they're doing. Cause it'd be really cool to see like the devs if they're actually talking in Discord and like what they talk about to actually get these numbers would be really interesting. This is so cool. I wish I could see the data 10 years out, but if they've just started in a year ago, that may
Yeah.
not be something they can backtrack. I don't know if I recognize any of these people. Joseph Wang, Victoria. This is awesome. It looks like it's free. That's 100% right, Ox. The dollar will wreck everything, and since we're doing that, I don't know how we haven't looked at the DXY. Oh, it's still going. And that's the other thing. I really think it's going to go for this order block up here, and that scares the shit out of me. I don't I I don't know. What do you think happens if the DXY hits 120 in the next month or two?
Um, Other people are going to freak out and they're going to say it's going to like, 150, 160 or something. I'm one step at a time, guys.
Yeah,
We do know that just like oil, there is a government intervention that happens. And we know that from the past and the Plaza Accord of I think that was the early 80s. Um, the a group of governments, Europe and the Japanese, or I think the Japanese weren't involved, but several European nations and the U.S. came together on an agreement to manipulate the currency to stop a super strong dollar. Yeah, that spike up there, 1984, that is when the Plaza Accord happened.
that's
So
awesome.
so to think that it's going to do that again, I think is very outrageous. Uh, let's get to 120 and we'll talk again. But I think that there will be some sort of intervention the same way we always see intervention with oil and with government currencies.
That is an awesome data point because I was not aware of that. But it allows us to say this is the absolute never been done before area. And frankly, we know that they will push to back us off into some type of manipulation.
Yeah,
So we are 50% away from no man's land, which is nice because it means we're getting real damn close to this being done. There is a 126 pivot, there is a 136 pivot, and then there's your wall, which is everything. Everything above this is either the world breaks down or they fix it. Basically, I guess is how you would interpret that. Hmm.
that's the red line, literally the red line.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not going above this.
164. So yeah, I think maybe we roll
But I
over.
think that talk happens way sooner. I think that
Oh
talk
yeah,
happens before we get to 120.
hopefully. I hope. In my opinion, a lot of the stuff they're doing is way retroactive, way too late. Um, and that was one of the things I forgot. What's that guy who screams all the time about Bitcoin? Um,
Which one? That's all of them.
he's the older guy. Anyway, he was talking about he didn't think the Fed was going to keep raking hikes because he was saying like if they really wanted to get inflation control, he's like they should do a 500 plus basis point now And this was like a year ago. And I was like, he's got a point, because I was like, I don't think these 50s are going to do it. And obviously they haven't. This is just rocking. So the other thing I think is an argument to say we may be at a tipping point is I don't think the mortgage rates are sustainable. I think right now the actual numbers are in the mid sevens. I've seen guys that I saw one on post, a guy with good credit got a 7.86 on a 30-year.
Well,
So
if you are looking at houses and you need to buy one within the next couple months, just remember it's not going to. If it ever goes down, you can always refi.
yeah, that is true. But hey, check this out. Here's your 84 point,
Oh yeah.
15%. So yeah, they pumped the. So
How common
this,
were 30s back then, though?
I don't know. I found out UK does 60s.
Yeah, I believe that.
So I mean, I don't know. I think I'm 4% right now, and I can't imagine like getting a 7 or 8 right now. I mean, like 4 versus 6 doesn't sound like a lot, but on a few $100,000, it's a lot per month difference.
Yep.
So maybe, shit, maybe this is what you're talking about. The DXY topped out. Let me add it. I never thought I would compare DXY to mortgages, but damn.
Oh.
That's crazy, is that hump there connects perfectly to that peak. So eventually mortgages trailed off, and then the DXY went a few more months, or sorry,
Can
DXY
you pull
went
up the
another three
Can you put up the
years.
15 too?
I will in a second. I've never done
Okay.
that, but right now I just want to check this correlation. Yeah, so she's rocking and rolling right now. The same time, the 30 years rocking and rolling as well. Mortgage. There's the 15. That's the 5-1. That's the 15. Yeah, 15's rocking too.
Where
Five
is it back
5-1.
into the 80s? How does it plateau sooner or later than 30 did?
This only goes to 91.
Oh,
That doesn't make sense, but
all right.
let me try. I don't. There's only that one mortgage ticker that I ever look at. Let me try the 5-1. No, that doesn't. It only goes to 2006.
If there's any mortgage experts in the chat, let us know.
Yes, please. Mortgage bond. It switches over. New York Mortgage Trust. I don't know what a mortgage trust is. I'm just looking. I don't. So I need a terminal. I keep putting
Oh, you
stuff
wanna?
under. I keep putting
You're gonna get a
stuff.
Bloomberg?
I want it so bad just to make Dylan stuff. I talk with TrendSpider a bit, and we talk about those Bloomberg terminals from time to time. And I'll keep putting stuff under their nose that I'm like, hey, I think you guys can do this, and I don't have to buy a terminal. And then like, yeah, we can. We're working on it. And I'm like, awesome. I'm sorry to your coders because I keep putting stuff on their to-do list, but he talks so much. They talk so much trash about the Insilico, or not the Insilico, the Bloomberg
Bloomberg.
terminals, and I also trying to tell him, I was like, can you guys give us a format to where it makes everything on your website look like a Bloomberg terminal? I think that would just be hilarious. Like the same colors, the same candles, same color lines and text. I was like, that'd be pretty funny. Because I thought about doing it in TradingView to see if I could do it, but I just haven't had the time. But anyway, but I'm about to have to go. If you want to cover anything else you can think of, but I think that sums it up until FOMC next week.
Yeah, I think so. I was just gonna ask us if there was any, beside any strong coins that you're looking at. Like, Adam's been on a roll. I think Near looked really kind of bullish for a minute there.
Isn't
Still kind
Adam
of does.
bullish right now off news?
There's some sort of upgrade or change. The token itself sounds like it's getting some sort of use. because right now it's just governance. And it possibly, I think I remember hearing rumors that it could become a gas token. Or
It's so high in the reversion band, I'm scared, but it's just going. And we've got that's the other thing. We're 2 days away from FOMC, so I'm really not itching to jump into any position.
no, I wish CPI was a bullish event. We could have bought and then sold before FOMC, but I'm sure that's what everybody wanted, and that's why we didn't get it.
I think it's just do the opposite. It's kind of where these are because I don't know about you, but like I had a lot of people sending me data about the CPI numbers before they actually printed,
Yeah,
saying like it's gonna come in low, it's gonna come in
yeah,
low from a few different sources, and I'm like, I don't. I mean, it's like it makes sense with fuel being low, but I was like, I don't. I'll be shocked, and then the numbers are wrong, and I think I swear that's whale games. They spread that data, and then everyone goes long, and then the real numbers come out, and then they get liquidated. But I don't know. Who knows?
yeah. Something did feel off there, especially with the White House having that event to celebrate the signing of the Inflation Act the day that CPI would have come out, which makes me think that they had an inside look before the release and saw that the year over year would be down, but that I don't think they took into account the monthly, and that's why they didn't change the event or like dumb it down
Well, I
because
heard
they just saw the year over year was down.
there's a
We're like,
bunch of
yeah, let's do this. This be exciting.
there's a bunch of video photos too where they're like doing the event, and there's just like red S&P
Yeah,
500
yeah.
moving in the background, and it's like, oh,
You're
buddy.
that is going to be plastered all over your political ads in the next couple of months, weeks.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just like it's not a good look. Um, yeah, I think that's a good point. But the other thing too is remember the bad CPI prints we had in the past, the White House
Right.
started
They would
front
try
running
to,
it
yeah.
like 2 days before they started like preparing people that the numbers were bad. I didn't hear anything on this one. The press secretary was normally talking it up for a few days and then let it hit. So I don't know. Who knows? That or they just knew it was bad and there was nothing they could do. I don't know. But anyway, um,
You gonna be watching the Canelo fight?
maybe it's about to be date night. I'm gonna go hang out with the wife. I am interested in Canelo though, because Triple G is no joke.
Gonna be a fun one. I'm getting ready.
When's it start?
I think I thought it was at. I thought it's within like the next half hour or something. I
You
almost
never
doxed
know. They
myself.
gotta do the music videos in the front. They gotta do 20 fights and then have the real fight.
I know. Yeah, I know that there's the undercard stuff happening now.
Okay, cool. Um, by the way, guys, if you don't know why the charts look the way they do or what we're talking about Rainbow Theory, go check us out at rainbow-trends.com. We're working on a new website. New tools are coming out at the end of the month. But the big thing is make sure you click our Discord link and come join the free Discord. If you want to come actually see more of the data and the stuff that we talk about, or just talk alpha. We don't gatekeep or anything. So if you want to come in and talk Ichimoku all day and no rainbow colors, it's totally cool. But anyway, Doppel, thanks for coming on. Try to
Yeah,
have you
thanks
on
for
some
having me,
more
man.
when you're not camping or hanging out and watching football. Um,
Sounds good.
and we'll see you guys later.
Peace.